Hey, I'm Brian.
I'm Karen.
And welcome back to our film race series. Today we're going to talk about a film race that we just did, the DC 48 Hour Film Project 2020. Totally online. I think a lot of us out there still feel that need to create, and that was no different for us. So we were like, hey, this is coming up. It's all online, so we don't have to drive anywhere to pick up the elements or drop off the final film. Let's go for it. So we did.
So the weekend started off with doing a Zoom call with all the teams that had signed up for the 48 hour for DC. The DC producer, Christina Rupert, she had a little spinning wheel thing.
It's very intense.
So each team's name would get called, and she would unmute them, spin the wheel, and you would get two separate genres. We ended up with romance and tragedy. You could choose one genre or the other, or you could combine them and do a romance tragedy or whatever combination you got.
We went on a private Zoom call with just our team, kind of the usual suspects of Starlight, to just kick some ideas around and figure out what was going on. And it was fun. It was still sad not to be able to be around people.
Yeah, it kind of hurt my heart a little bit to see people that we normally would be seeing in person, and just knowing that I wasn't going to be able to be with them all weekend. I wasn't going to be able to work with them on production or during writing or any of that stuff. So that was kind of a bummer.
Making a film under COVID restrictions and COVID guidelines for sets to operate safely, yeah, it was a bit of a struggle. We rolled with it, but we gave ourselves kind of plenty of time to work around certain things.
Brian and I have actually always thought it would be kind of fun to do one of these film races with a really tiny crew, meaning really just the two of us. But we have such a great team that it was always hard to justify saying, no, we don't want anyone else to join us. So under the current circumstances, it seemed like the perfect time to kind of jump in and do a film race with just the two of us and a couple other support people.
You were sound,
which I don't usually do.
Producing, writing, editing. Jim
well.
was on Slate. Robin usually the script supervisor, and she will mark every shot on the script, what takes I like. She'll make notes. So not having that, that was tough. Having Robin and Eric, our writers, really laying the track in front of the train. I gave them a beat sheet with here's the thing. It's a speech about life and letting go. Here's words I like. And then Robin and Eric would go back and forth on cell text. Visher Alley would be like, hey, Brian, I need to get my line so I can start working the scene out. And I'm like, let me go down to the internet. So I would go to the internet, and Robin and Eric would have updated the script kind of page by page with my notes. They were coming up with the voiceover and the speeches and really the themes of the film that kind of come in the last half of the movie. So that was cool to be able to go down there and draw from that well and be like, hey, we'll brand new copy, here you go, let's roll with it.
You'll notice throughout the film, the actors never touch. When they are in a scene together, they're either shot separately or they're far enough away from each other, or we're outside.
The opening scene is two actors in bed, so we handle that by completely changing out all of our sheets and quilts and stuff, and then we just filmed each actor separately. The car scene, we would all have masks on in the car, and then when we're filming one actor, they would take their mask off, and then vice versa, we go back and forth, and it just made the shooting a little slower, but you definitely don't want to be that film crew that gets in the news for the wrong reasons. I do think though that having a smaller crew, having to rig the camera lighter, it allowed for a more intimate film, where I normally would have blocked out a scene and gotten coverage and tried a few different ways through. The shot to take ratio had to get really low just because we had to get through the day. Yeah, art from adversity, no matter if it's budget or time or coronavirus. Once you feel that pinch and that pressure, that's where art comes from. That's where interesting decisions are made that generally are gonna make the film a better piece. For me, it was a very lonely process because Robin usually edits with me throughout the night. We'll kind of go back and forth and do different things. But Robin wasn't on set. Getting her on board would have taken way more effort at 3 a.m. than me just pushing through it. So yeah, it was just kind of pulling the long night by myself. And then Karen showed up in the morning and kind of helped get the edit a bit more refined. But part of the fun is collaborating. I mean, that's what makes movies what they are. So it felt very lonely.
3 of the 4 writers had lost someone this year, and so that
Yeah.
was.
Intensely personal.
So even though we didn't want to make a movie that referenced COVID or was about COVID in any way, the themes that come out of the loneliness that we feel, the pain, the hardships that a lot of people are going through, this film still reflects a lot of those themes that are coming from COVID, but also just life.
You know, movies can be a ways to just figure out life and just talk about what's going on. So I'm very proud of our team that we could bring something that has some impact and has some weight and ask some questions and doesn't really give a lot of answers, really. If we had not known how we at StarWeb tell stories so well, like what makes us tick, it would have been hard, I think, to fight through the time crunch and then also the coronavirus restrictions and just the delays that come with that. You just have to give yourself plenty of time and definitely pick an idea that's fairly simple and that has a few exit strategies for in case you run out of time or something else comes up.
What's cool though is that right now would be a good time for some people to try out film races for the first time because they might live in an area where there aren't any film races. Any of these virtual film races you could do from anywhere in the world and participate. So it could actually be easier for some people to get involved.
Mm-hmm. But we hope you enjoy our film. It's called One Day, and I think the actors just killed it. I think it's terrific. The crew that was there and the crew that was there in spirit, you could just kind of feel that StarWeb energy still a little bit, kind of excitement about making a film. And as always, thanks for watching. We hope to have earned your subscription today. I guess we'll see you next time on Film Race.